Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you to We'll Bring the Popcorn, the ultimate film and TV podcast.
On today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the unrated theatrical release of the Toxic Avenger.
Well, you might be sick of hearing about it, but Kpop Demon Hunters is officially Netflix's most popular movie of all time, original film of all time. It surpassed Red Notice with over 236 million views.
Crazy. Now, Netflix is already in negotiations for a second film, but there's no denying the staying power that it's had. It's still all over my timeline. It's all over, a lot of stuff I see on social media. It's actually the first film since Saturday Night Fever, as far as the soundtrack goes, to have 3 songs simultaneously in the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. It is just everywhere, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down at the moment.
Yeah, it's wild. That movie, Saturday Night Fever, came out in 1978. So you're talking 1978 to 2025.
Almost 50 years.
Since a film soundtrack just had 3. And that's just crazy because we know just the amazing amount of films that we've had since then, especially Oscar and big soundtrack films. And it's the first one since 1978. That's just wild. But, it's great to see because we've talked about it, about everyone just wanting more original stuff and wanting, less sequels and prequels and comic book movies and everything else. And this is an original movie that they had no idea it was going to be this big. And it's just great to see that you've got a small team of basically unknowns for the most part with the actors and everything else that it's just blown up. It's great to see. Like, it's a fun film. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the soundtrack and everything else, but it's really just great to see something small and original like that be a mega hit now.
Yeah, and it's just something that captured like a perfect point in time. Like we've talked about it before, how important it is for like not only the content of the movie to be good, but how much good music can enhance a film in a way. And obviously this film is centered around music, talking about, a K-pop girl band going up against a demon version of a K-pop boy band and all this stuff. And it's such a good marriage of a good story and amazing music and a soundtrack that just took this film and just elevated it to places that nobody could have first seen it, reaching. Like, we know anime is growing in popularity, especially among younger generations are appreciating it more, and it's significantly more popular now than it definitely was when we were younger. Like, anime was definitely, at least here in America, a very niche thing to like up until maybe the last 15 years or so, maybe. But like, you see this younger generation really getting into the genre and everything, and it's awesome to see because I'm a big anime fan and have been for a long time, and it's really cool to see. But man, like, nobody could have predicted that this is jumped off the way that it has, and I'm kind of just taking it now in the moment and really appreciating it because the pressure is going to be huge for whatever they follow this up with to match the quality and the content of this first film. And I'm kind of just taking this and enjoying it in the moment because eventually who knows how the narrative on this is going to shift if the follow-up movie isn't as good, or, like I said, if it just doesn't meet the same quality that this one has, and does it really affect the legacy of this original film? And you're kind of just taking the time to enjoy it for what it is now before it eventually gets ran through the ringer like everything else does, where it gets multiple sequels and spinoffs and all this other stuff. But really fun to kind of take this that's really come out of nowhere. Like, I know when you and I were talking about like what movies that we think were going to be the biggest movies of the year, this was never even on our radar as far as stuff coming out. And it's just really cool to see something like this just explode in popularity like it has.
Yeah, you're right. The pressure that's going to be on them to try to up something like this, from soundtrack wise, from movie wise, not only on themselves, not only for the songs and stuff. Netflix and Sony's going to have a lot of pressure on them too, because they're going to want even more merchandise, even more this, even more that, because they've already talked about multiple sequels, doing a live action version of it, which we'll have to see if the live action brings the same actors into the live action to continue the songs, if they get someone else. But yeah, the staying power of this is crazy. Like I said, it's crossed 236 million views. They're expecting 300 to 400 million views before it really starts dying down. It'll be in that range, which is still a big range, but you might be able to bring it down to 300 to 350 million. But that's an insane amount of views. It's even right now holding off Sabrina Carpenter's new album on the charts. So like Golden is still beating out Sabrina Carpenter's stuff. Right. It just shows you just how big this soundtrack and these songs are.
It's just insane. And imagine if all of those views equated to box office numbers. We'd be talking about a top 10 film of all time as far as box office goes. Like if all of these views equated to ticket sales, you know what I mean? Like, and that's not to say that if this were put out in theaters, it would have done that well significantly, perhaps. But
I mean, the sing-along version for only being in 1,000 screens or something made $18 million that weekend.
Bunch of money, which is insane.
It was the top movie of the weekend.
They were selling out theaters everywhere in a limited release, beating out theaters that had 3.5 times more screenings than it did, and it's just crazy, just the focused popularity of this right now. It's going to be a really interesting case study for stuff too. Like, do more people try to do something similar now? Because obviously, once you know something is successful, other people try to mimic it and copy it. And you're going to have like all sorts of stuff try to come out to try to match what this could be. And it's just a fun case study of, you know, something coming completely out of left field like this and exploding in popularity. And I love to see it. We're big advocates here for original content as well. And I know we spend a lot of time talking about sequels. As a matter of fact, our next couple stories are going to dive into those topics as well. But it's really interesting to see when something like this just comes out of nowhere and explodes and is super popular, and just you see a franchise like this being born like this. It's always fun to see where it takes off from.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of rip-offs we get of Kpop Demon Hunters, because you know they're going to be bad. And you know they're going to try to maybe latch onto a lesser-known music style that may be popular elsewhere but not popular in the States, that they're going to try to profit off of that, because everything that makes it big gets a rip-off.
Well, of course it does. You'll see imitations, you'll see, you know, parodies, you'll see all kinds of stuff coming through, and that's to be expected when something like this jumps off in popularity as much as it does. I know we're talking about reboots and franchises. I want to move us into our next story. So you have the creators of Cobra Kai are writing the script for a Knight Rider film. Now, if you don't know what Knight Rider is, congratulations on being born in the 90s or later, but Knight Rider was a very popular TV show for a time in the 80s about a talking car, basically, like a crime-fighting action series starring David Hasselhoff as Michael, and very famously, the actor who played Mr. Feeney in Boy Meets World was the voice of Kit the car. So you've got those guys being a part of potentially a Knight Rider reboot, and I just don't know what to make of this, because it's anything they've tried to spin off of that after that has just not been as successful.
Yeah, like, you know, John and Hayden and Josh, they all did a great job of bringing Karate Kid back as Cobra Kai. Like, they did a really good job at that. We'll see if they can handle the same thing as Knight, because it was popular, but it's a more niche type of show that it was. They tried back in 2008 to bring it back again and modernize it, but it did not work as well. I think it got canceled after like 3 or 4 episodes. It didn't even get the full season. So we'll see if it turns out to be fun. We know that, you know, the actor who was the voice Kid is probably too old now to come back and do anything for that. We'll see, because he's in his 90s now, isn't he? So yeah. I would love to hear him again, because I love, you know, hearing his voice and everything. But I'm curious what they can do with it. This is a franchise, as you said. It had a spinoff that lasted like 1 season. It had another kind of reboot, second show that lasted 1 season, and the reboot didn't even last a full season. So, yeah, the original ran for 4 seasons, so it wasn't a monumentally long run, but it's popular. That if you grew up in the 70s or 80s, even early 90s, you knew Knight Rider. You know, my wife's old car, she called the Knight Rider, and everything else too. So it's going to be interesting if they can do what they did with Cobra Kai and bring something fun and entertaining with Knight Rider back as a film here.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting story. What kind of car do they use? What kind of story do they tell? Because that show was definitely something. If you go back and watch some of the old reruns, it's very, very, like, when you think of 80s action TV shows, this is one of those types of shows. Like, it's just as cheesy as you think it would be, but it has its fun moments too. And the people that love that show loved that show. Like, that show is still popular. Like, a lot of people remember David Hasselhoff, obviously, from Baywatch, is probably his most popular role, I would say. But Knight Rider is a very, very close second, and has a very, very passionate fan base behind it. Like, it's small but mighty, as we like to say. But it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as movie wise with it, how they try to make it a modern version of this. Like, I'm not entirely sure what it could be, obviously, with AI and everything now.
Going to be a Tesla.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to have to be something like that, or some kind of supercar or something.
If they make it a Cybertruck, help us.
We may have just figured out the plot already. We don't know, but yeah, that's definitely one that's going to be interesting to see where they take it, because I don't know if it's going to work, but there's some things you could play around with and have fun. Give us something interesting, please, for the love of God, for that, just because the potential for that, I'm not having very high hopes for when I saw that story, and I was just like, what are we doing here? But you never know. It could be something fun.
Yeah, because originally you were looking at like a classic muscle car in there and everything. The 2008 version, I believe it was a Mustang that they used for that, but it also shape-shifted into completely other vehicles like trucks and everything else. I don't know if where they're going to go, because, EV cars are big. It could potentially be one of those. I mean, you've still got Mustangs around. You've got Corvettes that you could potentially do with the muscle car, even though it kind of looks more European with its body styling now. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Knight Rider to make it appeal to a new generation, but also appease the older fans.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see what happens with it. I'm not holding very high hope for it, but we'll see what they give us.
And we're just a couple months away from the final Wicked film, Wicked for Good, coming out. And we got an announcement that yet another Wizard of Oz spinoff is going to be happening here. Well, adaptation, not spinoff. But Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, and Gina Matthews are bringing a modern version of Wizard of Oz to series at Amazon. They said the Yellow Brick Road is just going to be a metaphor for what teenagers and young adults are dealing with right now. So it definitely... That doesn't bode a lot of confidence for how good it's going to be, and you don't really know what Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton really have when it comes to doing a scripted series like this, because they've got their music careers, they've done The Voice and a few other things, but they really haven't done scripted television and how much they have to do with it. But there's been very few adaptations, and there's been 60 plus of the original novel. Of course, we got the Judy Garland classic that everybody loves. You've got The Wiz that most people are a fan of, and you have Wicked. And those are the main three that have been done that most people agree with were good adaptations. So that's 3 out of 60 so far that have been done fairly well. And I guess you can toss one of those 60s as the original Wicked novelization and stuff with it too. But I don't know what to think about that. They've tried so many different times in different ways. We had a film, I think back in 2013, that they tried to do a little bit different tale on it. It went over okay. They did a 10-man series. I believe that was on Sci-Fi. That was just okay with Zooey Deschanel. Like, they've tried to use the Wizard of Oz story and mix it up and change it, but it just never really worked that well.
We pride ourselves on being pretty positive people. A lot of times we get criticized for being too positive about certain movies that may not necessarily be as good. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This sounds awful. Like, this sounds like a terrible idea. It's like the Yellow Brick Road being a metaphor. Like, it sounds pretentious. It sounds... Look, I'm all for like representation and storytelling and everything like that, which is perfectly fine. Like, we're not going to get political on here. We never do. But just the premise of this just sounds terrible. Like, there's occasional like taking comic stories and everything like that and trying to make them into TV shows and other things like that are done well, or at least become popular. Like, I know Riverdale was one that took, like, you thought like taking an Archie comic and bringing it to TV, you kind of scoff at it a little bit, but Riverdale was pretty successful for the CW for a while.
Especially when they made it a little bit darker.
Yeah, you could take some creative liberties with this. It's just the premise of it alone just sounds so pretentious and so unnecessary that I just kind of shook my head when I saw this story, because I saw it earlier this week when it came out and people were talking about it, and I'm just like, there's a reason why so few of these adaptations work. You have The Wizard of Oz, the original film with Judy Garland, is one of the best films of all time, and it's held in such high regard for a reason. It is a brilliant film. It is brilliant storytelling. It's kind of like a perfect encapsulation of time for just classic good filmmaking. It's got some incredible songs in it too, and The Wiz was awesome as well. I love the Michael Jackson version. Like that was a really well done too. Wicked, I hold, no fault in myself in saying that it's my favorite musical of all time. Like, I love it. I thought the first Wicked film, go back in our archives and see what we thought about it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I'm a little hesitant on the second half of it just because the songs in the first one are so iconic.
And we also know the second half of Wicked isn't as good as the first half. Sure,
it's kind of understood about that if you've seen it, but the first half more than carries its weight and makes it such an iconic musical. But this just sounds bad, and it sounds like it's gonna get harped on very heavily when it comes out. It's just the premise of it alone just does not sound appealing to me at all.
If you're using some of the main key parts of the Wizard of Oz just as metaphors for it, then why do you really need the Wizard of Oz behind it? It's going to be called Dorothy, so you assume they're at least going to have her name be in there and stuff. Is she going to move from Kansas to New York City or something like that? Like, you don't really know, but it's going to be... I'll check it out and give it a chance, but off the premise alone, it doesn't sound that appealing to do. And I know we're not the demographic that they're shooting for, guys in their early 40s here to go into this like, oh hey, I'm excited for it, but you can be excited for something like that. But yeah, just based off of the Yellow Brick Road being a metaphor for challenges and stuff, I don't know, it doesn't sound very appealing.
No, it's just on its premise alone. I don't have a lot of confidence in it. I'm also willing to give it a chance, like we always are. But this is one of those. I heard the story and I was like, why? Like, the way you're presenting it seems like it's doomed to fail from the start. Hopefully they give us something good. Obviously, you want to try to take, some kind of silver lining from it. It just doesn't sound appealing to me.
And most of the reactions I saw online was very similar from everybody of like, why?
Right.
Was the main reaction to it. Why?
Yeah, you could tell a different story and not throw the Wizard of Oz branding on it. I don't know how that got. I'll just move on. I can talk about this for a minute. But one of the fun news stories we got this week just happened within like the last 24 or 48 hours or so. Was we got a first look at Ryan Gosling on the set of the Sean Levy Star Wars Starfighter film. Got the internet talking as anything related to Star Wars and new stuff. Always gets all kinds of attention for it, but we've got a very stacked cast coming to this film that's going to have a lot of people buzzing.
Yeah, you've got Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre have joined the cast that also features Mia Goth and Matt Smith, which is, those four alone with Ryan Gosling is going to be pretty interesting. But what got me excited is that he got Claudio Miranda as cinematographer. So if you don't really know that name, he was a cinematographer F1 for Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
And for Tron Legacy. Now, you can say what you want about the story and everything about Tron Legacy, but it was a gorgeous-looking film, as was Top Gun Maverick and F1. They all looked incredible. So to have someone with that caliber as your cinematographer on a Star Wars film that's about, you're going to have a lot of space action sequences stuff. It's going to look good. And like this is the first one outside of Mandalorian and Grogu, which is out next year. We're not going to see Starfighter until May of 2027.
For now.
But this is our next Star Wars movie after Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's supposed to, I think it's like 5 years or so after episode 9. I believe it's where it's set. So, and Sean Levy is a good director. For whatever reason, the internet has like turned on him big time. They've turned on Deadpool and Wolverine and everything else. But I mean, he's done Free Guy. He's done Deadpool and Wolverine. He's done the Atom Project. He's done a lot of fun, interesting sci-fi stuff. So I'm really interested to see with having, a great actor as Ryan Gosling and having Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre and stuff in there, Matt Smith, all of them, like they're great actors. What he's going to be able to do with a Star Wars film, like it has me really intrigued and interested.
He loves working with Ryans. He has a lot of success with doing that, and those are two really good ones to work with. But yeah, I don't know where that's coming from for Sean. I'm not too up on why people are turning on him necessarily, but I'm excited for this, man. You got Claudio Miranda's work is phenomenal. He's great at creating these visual spectacles as well, and you want that from a Star Wars film anyway, but we always say nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, but you're right. This is the next one coming after Mandalorian and Grogu, which you got a little bit of a leaked trailer coming from, stuff going around for that's got people talking as well, but yeah, I mean, people are clamoring for what the next Star Wars thing is going to be after that, and it looks like this is what it's going to be. I'm excited for it. You get a tale that's potentially not Skywalker related, that's a Star Wars property, and it tends to do well. Like it tends to, make a majority of the Star Wars fan base happy with it. So I'm excited to see what they come up with. Sean Levy's a great director. I've enjoyed most of his work as well, and you got a stellar cast. So the recipe's there for something really good Star Wars related that's not Skywalker focused. I'm all for it. Let's see what they give us.
Yeah, and we know it's not going to come out in 2026, probably mainly because of Mandalorian and Grogu. You don't want to have competition with yourself. I mean, if it's filming now, that gives a year and a half, almost 2 years for them to get all the special effects and everything else done. But there's another big film that we were looking forward to this year with Mortal Kombat 2 that was going to release right before Halloween. Well, that's no longer happening. They've delayed it till May of 2026, which they say the film's done. It's complete. It's ready to go, but it's tested well. The fan reaction to the trailer has been huge, so they're saying the move is because they want to bring it to the summer to give it a bigger chance at a bigger box office instead of in a muddled October, which normally towards October, November, around Halloween going into Thanksgiving, you can have a little bit of a lull. But it's kind of weird that because there's like a Colleen Hoover movie, there's another that's not in his genre that's coming out around then. You got Halloween the next weekend, which normally is a lower weekend for films and stuff, but they've moved it a week before The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah. Where did this where did they decide to land on this week in particular for this film? But we've been seeing the trailers in front of films that we've been watching currently, and now you're pushing it out like 6 months. It makes no sense to me to move it almost 7 full months after we were supposed to originally get this. We had it as one of our most anticipated films of this year too. Like, it just makes no sense to move it. And, I wonder, moving it in front of a juggernaut like Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be, is the smartest business move. Like, you could have a really good first week, and you may get an elevated second week if people go, like, want to go see that in addition to Mandalorian and Grogu, or if people are trying to wait a week after that. You never know with people's viewing habits how that stuff's going to work. But I think it's a terrible idea to move it off the time that it was. But I don't make those decisions, and it's just so like interesting to see these companies get in their heads about when they put these movies out, and they think it's going to do better at a certain time. Like, I'm so frustrated with all of these delays. If the delay were production related, or like, hey, the movie, like, we're still working on visual stuff, it's going to take us just a little bit longer, but this will make the quality of the film better. Okay, like, I might roll my eyes at it, but I can at least respect that from a professional perspective. But they're saying the movie's done. Put the movie out. Like, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Are you going to really make that much more money moving it in front of a film that's going to do extremely well? And I don't understand the thought process behind it.
You also got Devil Wears Prada 2 is out the week before it, so it's sandwiched in between. Like, that was a pretty good hit when it came out, and then you're looking at Mortal Kombat, Devil Wears Prada, Star Wars. You're going to have very different things, but you could have similar audiences because we'll probably be seeing all three of those ourselves as well with it. But yeah, it is an interesting move because producer Todd Garner did say it's done, it's ready. It's all because of that reaction that they feel like if they moved it somewhere else, it would do better. But yeah, you're looking at when I first heard it, I was thinking that, okay, they're going to have to do reshoots. It did not test well. Or they needing to go in and redo something. Like, it's cut and done. But he did hint, even though we have this delay, that Mortal Kombat 3 might have already been greenlit for them. So they might already be able to move into a third one. It'd be interesting to see if we end up filming and moving into a third one before the second one even gets released now because of that long delay. If it is greenlit and ready to move on with another one, if they feel that strongly about it that they moved it to the summer, they might feel strongly enough to give it that third film.
Yeah, the film's tested well. It's gotten a lot of hype behind it. Let's delay it 7 months and kill any momentum.
You can lose a lot of momentum that way.
Come on, man. Like, it makes no sense to me. I don't understand it, but we'll see if it does well, and we'll see if that gamble pays off for him. I hope it does well. I know we're still looking forward to the film, and the trailers all look like a ton of fun. I love the addition of, our favorite Billy Butcher from The Boys. Carl Urban is he's just so much fun and so much stuff that he's in, and he's added as Johnny Cage in this. But I'm excited for the movie. I'm just bummed that it's done. We could have had it in 2 months from now, and now it's gonna be another 7 months beyond it. Like it sucks, man.
And that's more that everyone feels. It's just like we were so looking forward to seeing it because the first one was done really well.
Yeah.
They said they listened to fans a lot. They've come back. We're focusing harder on the tournament aspect of Mortal Kombat here because the first one was about that origin. And there were some things that people didn't like, especially with how all the characters got their powers and how that if they were a chosen one to be in the tournament that they would get superpowers basically given to them, and they've already kind of poked fun at themselves with that with Johnny Cage, and they're like, you don't have any powers? I'm just incredibly handsome. They're just poking fun, okay, yeah, well, maybe they're not doing the super additional superhuman power stuff with it, but yeah, I had it on our calendar. I was ready to go to get tickets for it. That I think it's the main thing. We're just disappointed that we were ready to see it. It's done. But now we got to wait 7 more months.
So frustrating, but yeah, I mean, we got to adjust our schedule, and we've, kind of peel back the curtain a little bit. We've got almost our entire year planned out well in advance that, would tweak here and there if something gets moved up a week or back a week, but significant delays like that definitely throw a wrench into the things we were planning for the show, and it's just us as, hosts and content creators and stuff like that, we really were excited to have this. I know this is a big one that we've had circled on our calendar for a minute, and it's just unfortunate that for maybe a couple extra $1 million that they're wanting to move this to another timeline, and we'll see. Like I said, we'll see if it works out for them. I'm not overly confident that it's going to hold as well, but I could be proven wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, we just hope they did move this to have a bigger box office it gets it, but. Yeah, you're moving before Mandalorian and Grogu and after Devil Wears Prada 2. We'll see if it gets a box office they think it's going to be or if it gets moved again or something. But if it gets moved a third time, then you start wondering what exactly is going on with it.
Yeah, and that's the type of buzz you don't want for your film at that point. It's why are you delaying it again? Because every time we hear about these films getting significant delays like that, it usually comes with the cost of quality, right? So we'll see. Hopefully it sticks to that date and we finally can come around next year and get to see it finally.
We are now partnered with Dubby Energy. Dubby is a clean energy drink to give you focus with no crash or jitters like other energy drinks.
Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It also features 0 calories, no sugar, no fillers, and no artificial dyes.
From Dragonade and S'mores to Push and Punch and Galaxy Grenade, Dubby has a wide range of flavors for you to choose from.
Use code WBTP to save 10% off your Dubby Energy orders and look for a direct link in the audio and video descriptions. So now I want to move us into our movie review this week. We have the unrated version of The Toxic Avenger, which hit theaters this week, and it stars Peter Dinklage as Winston, the Toxic Avenger himself, and I gotta say, man, it's unrated for a reason. They do some wild stuff in this movie. There's not a lot for the rating of our show that we could do to talk about specifics of this movie to kind of keep it at the content level that we want it to, but whoo, this film was something.
Yeah, this was a wild ride. So a little bit of history about the Toxic Avenger. It first debuted back in 1984. There's been 4 films altogether. They're B movies. Sure. They're kind of the classic B movie. If you're looking for a gory horror comedy with a little bit more on top of that these are ones you went to. It's had a big popularity since, and the last one came out in 2000 with the original one coming out in 84. So it's been quite a few years since we had a Toxic Avenger film. This is the first Hollywood Toxic Avenger film that they've done, and it was completed back in 2023. It took them several years to find a distributor that would actually put it out, and yeah, it was wild. I will say it's wild, but it's also going back and revisiting some of the original ones. It's probably the tamest out of all of them, and it was still pretty wild to be that tame. But yeah, the main story this time around, because with the original ones, the Winston, the Toxic Avenger, was a very, 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 very dorky, geeky, over the top, just how dorky guy he was. And you get that with Peter Dinklage's version here, but it's more a story about a father who's trying to do right by his son while he's also dealing with some health issues and everything else. So he's a stepfather to Wade because the mother passed away. But we're dealing with BTH here, which Kevin Bacon plays the main villain. He's the head of BTH. It's comical, this factory that they have that Winston is a janitor at, that there's so many things going wrong and people screaming and just vats of toxic waste just sitting around while he's mopping things up and stuff. But it definitely tries to lean more into getting a touching story about a father and a son while also being ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, I mean, the violence is prevalent in this film, and it's just met with just this really dark humor that just is, pervasive throughout this film. And I can't talk about specific plot points just because it's so crazy. Like, at the heart of the story, it's Peter Dinklage having the health issues that he has. He's got this brain issue that gives him a very finite window of time to live in. And in his desperation goes to this big black tie gala event that, his boss, Kevin Bacon, is, at, and basically pleads his case to help because through, bureaucratic reasons, and we've all dealt with some, BS insurance stuff, like his insurance company, despite the fact that he pays for a higher tier of insurance, won't cover his specific condition that's one of the lower tiers. Like, again. It was just that conversation of him trying to talk to this
I don't know what
the insurance
means.
representative was just so funny and so relatable. But yeah, they just won't cover his condition, the medication that he needs. And he goes and pleads his case directly to the CEO of the company. He's like, hey, I'm this loyal employee. I've worked for you for, 20 years, just a model employee, and the insurance won't help. Is there anything you can do? And they kind of like, being the smarmy public facing person that Kevin Bacon is, his character is, he's like, yeah, we'll take care of you. We'll do right by you. We got you. We'll take care of you. And then they shoo him off and like lock him out of the room and just kind of make fun of him. And he hears this and it just sets him off. And it just goes on this, this rampage of events that happens beyond that, it just gets more absurd after that. And it's as gory as you can imagine it is. It's ramped up even beyond that, because once he starts going on this rampage and he turns into the Toxic Avenger, you get just some wild over the top stuff. And it was definitely a ride on this one for sure.
Yeah, I would say that I actually wanted to see a little bit more action out of it. Like, the sequence that it had was fun and crazy and over the top and very violent and gory, like really violent and gory. But they were 1 to 2 minutes long. They weren't very long sequences. Even the final sequence was kind of broken up in pieces. And you've got to know that this movie approaches itself knowing that it's a reboot of a B movie. It's poking fun at itself. It almost feels Naked Gun level type of parody, that it's very aware of itself and that it was a bad B movie that everyone enjoyed and stuff. So there's a lot of, crazy jokes. There's a lot of different jokes about modern day issues and stuff. And yeah, you do get like, one thing that I was a little surprised about was Elijah Wood in this, because he looks like the Penguin.
Yeah, very much.
But he's actually got this just subtle, serious type of tone to him throughout the movie that you actually got like, okay, he actually kind of gave the best performance throughout the entire movie, which again, they're all doing over the top stuff but it was really interesting to see just kind of how serious they kept his character. He's the brother of Bob, of Kevin Bacon's character, who's kind of tasked with doing all the dirty work for him. So Winston ends up being one of those dirty works that he needs to be done. So he manages a rock band that ends up being the crew that is going out to take out everybody. And it's just ridiculous. You got one guy who just, he won't stop flipping and doing parkour and stuff.
It's so stupid.
And there's just such ridiculousness with that one, especially towards the end, that just had me laughing so hard because, oh no, I can't stop flipping. And then whatever happens was like, oh, geez, it is over the top, but actually in a good way. Like, I had a fun time with this. It is ridiculous, over the top. I mean, it tries its best to give you a decent enough story. I feel like some characters were a little... maybe they didn't know what to do with them, because you get a side female character, JJ, who she's trying to get information out, working for a reporter, with a reporter, and is trying to expose all the toxic stuff that BTH is doing. Yeah. But after, the initial part of it, she's just kind of a tag along after a while. There's not a whole lot given to her after that, but yeah, it gives me some scenes that I wasn't really expecting that I would ever see, and I'll probably never look at helicopters the same way ever again.
Never, ever, ever. Never looking at helicopters the same way. There's one scene in particular with her that just makes me laugh to go back and think about. It's when they show up at the compound at Bob's house and trying to create a distraction for the guards, and she's like trying to play up. He's like, "Oh, I'm this attractive girl, and I'm gonna, distract him with my looks," and it just goes in a way you don't expect it to go.
And then you got Peter Dinklage like, "Oh, that worked really well." No, it didn't. Like,
yeah, oh, it was so funny. It was like it's absurd. It's very dark humor, and
very dark.
It works. It works for the type of film that they made, and you could very clearly tell that this is a B-level type, film, elevated with a little bit more money than they're used to having behind it, but it's still very much in a B tier kind of like style, and it works for this film. I don't know why it works, but like we had a blast. We had an absolute blast watching it. Like, we knew it was going to be absurd. We weren't ready for how absurd it got at times, but I mean, it was still fun. Like, you're not looking for a life-changing film and you're going to see the Toxic Avenger. Well, you kind of know what you get going into it, and I think it met those expectations.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage was really enjoyable, and you had a bunch of different gags, like, he's talking to the doctor, but they're doing construction outside, so most of the stuff that's being said is you can't hear because of the construction, and that happens multiple times with this doc. And the doctor is so nonchalant, and like, there's one point where Peter Dinklage's character asks him a question, he's like, "What is that?" It's like, "Oh, it's a sandwich." And like, no, like, you're trying to tell me some medical information, and you're telling me about your sandwich. Like, there's some very slapstick moments, and I think Peter Dinklage did fine in it. He was, trying to get that awkward, geeky type of guy, but more of the just run down, hard on his luck, like just struggling to do right, because he's the stepfather to Wade. He's not the dad, and he's trying to do his best by the kid who's a bit quirky and weird and out there, and just working as a janitor and having his struggles and everything else too. But I could tell at times, because they did come out and admit that a lot of the times as Toxie, it wasn't him. It was, I believe it was a female double that was playing Toxie, and you could kind of tell when it was being dubbed over that it wasn't him in there, especially when you looked at the one good eye. Like, I didn't really care for what they did with the second eye, which was always the droopy eye. They kind of made it more of like almost looked like it was an electronic eye, which didn't fully work for me on there. Like, they had some good gags with it and stuff, but it looked overly fake on the face the whole time. And the prosthetics overall for Toxie looked pretty good of what they tried to do with it, but there's a couple little nitpicky things. Even though it's a B movie being brought into a Hollywood film, like, you're not going to nitpick that much, but it was a couple things I was like, okay, that took me out. And I love the random guy out in the woods and the humor that brought with that, of just how nonchalant, like, Toxie ends up needing to come see him because someone's hurt and he's trying to get help, and the guy's like just roasting a marshmallow or a hot dog. He's doing something with fire, and he's like, "You're a doctor, like, help." He's like, "Who told you I'm a doctor?" "You did?" He had no recollection that he did it. Like, it's got that silliness to it.
So silly. We were laughing at several moments in this film, for sure. Like, we can't go too much into it because it's vulgar, it's violent. It's a lot of fun if you're into that particular genre of film, like just this horror comedy, action, graphic, vulgar type stuff. Like, I think this film will be right up your alley if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I end up having a lot of fun with it. I wasn't sure going in because, the original Toxic Avenger films have been crazy and over the top. It's hard to describe them because they're so all over the place. They even go into areas that this one didn't really go into because there's a lot of sex and other stuff that happens in the Toxic Avenger. It's not so much in this one that you get that kind of stuff with it. It's more about the violence. As you're trying to tell a little more grounded story in an insane type of world. And Kevin Bacon was fun. He was over the top. Like, it was a little bit crazy there, but it was fun. I had a good time watching it. It's not the best movie you're ever going to see. It's going to be lower on the scale of just about everything, but it's one you can go into if you like gore, horror, comedies. You're going to have a fun time with it, I think. Like, it's absurd. You're going to laugh at all the ridiculousness of it, especially like the big chicken guy and what happens there. And our whole theater was just losing their minds a bit laughing at that. Like, so ridiculous, so over the top, but it's something I had a lot of fun with. Like, it was an enjoyable time in the theater.
Yeah, for sure. We had an absolute blast with it. It was just fun. It's not gonna win any awards or anything, but it's definitely a film that we had a lot of fun with. I don't know how high I'm going to rate it just yet. Like, I'm still kind of pondering back and forth between a couple numbers, but man, it just, it had so many absurd moments that just made me laugh, but it's ones that are just like, what are we doing in this movie?
Like, what are we, what, really? You went there?
Yeah, you went there. It's as absurd as you think it would be.
You also had a lot of people who just didn't want to die in the movie, which just added to the absurdity and fun of it, because there's some gruesome deaths, but they're still like hanging on somehow, and you're just laughing at the absurdity of that. Like, I don't know why it always still goes back to me with Paul Rubens in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie of him being a vampire who gets stabbed with a stake, but he just absolutely refuses to die. And you have those type of deaths in this movie. Like, they just will not die.
Yeah, and right out of the gate they laid the groundwork for that with the guy that got shot multiple times and kept cussing at him and getting back up before he was harpooned to death. I'll take one spoiler into it there for you, but it was just, I looked at that, I'm like, okay, I know exactly the type of film that we're in for here, and just go along for the ride and enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, they set your expectations early, especially even with just the voiceover intro and how they started. Like, they let you know going into it, this is still a wild and crazy, over the top Toxic Avenger movie.
Yeah, so the Toxic Avenger is a film that any expectations you can have for it, set your expectations low for it. Just know going in that you're going to get this over-the-top, crazy, vulgar, violent film. It's unrated for a reason. Like, they go to some pretty hardcore lengths with the violence and the vulgarity in it. And just know that if you know that going in, it's not a film meant for kids, you're still going to have a good time. I'm going to land on giving it a 6 out of 10. Like, it's not the best film you're going to see, but if you know going in that it's going to be vulgar and violent, just kind of just set your morals kind of to the side, you're going to have a good time with it. But I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's a fun film. I've seen it. I don't know if I'll ever go back and revisit it, so it's going to score a little lower for that, but I still had a good time watching it, man. I'm going to line, I think a 6 is a good, solid rating for this movie.
Yeah, it's wild, crazy, over the top. But as I mentioned earlier, it is kind of a little bit tamer than the original. So if you're going in expecting the exact same that you got from the first 4, there might be some that are a little disappointed by that, but it has the uber violence. It has a lot of slapstick humor in it. It was, in the end, a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a 6.5 just because I had a lot of laughs and fun out of it. It's not a good movie, as the others weren't, but it gave me entertainment, which made it be a lot of fun to me. Like, I was laughing so much at so many different things, whether they wanted me to laugh at it or not, but for the most part, you know that they wanted you to laugh at it because they don't take themselves seriously at all in here. But it's very gory, very violent, plenty of humor and stuff to it. It's a bit different than the others, but I had a fun time in the end with it.
Yeah, it's very entertaining, don't get me wrong, but this is very much intended for a very niche audience who loves, but it leans into the fact that they know they're making a movie for a very niche audience. And I think they're successful with that. I think if you're into that type of film, you're going to like it. I think you'll have a good time with it. Like I said, it doesn't have a high amount of rewatchability for me. I've seen it. I don't know if I'll go back to it at any certain
I probably
point.
will because I had so much fun with
Sure, and that's fine with it, but definitely a movie that doesn't take itself so seriously. The Toxic Avenger is in theaters now. Go check it out. Come to our YouTube comments. Let us know if you've seen it. I don't know how long it's going to be in the theaters. It took 2 years to finally get it out. We finally got the film out there, so I'm thankful that it gets at least a little bit of a run in theaters. But come to our Discord. Come to our YouTube comments. If you see it, check it out. Let us know what you think.
You have a feeling we're probably going to see it on digital within a week or two. It's probably going to have that maybe 14-day window, if even probably, that. Because, I mean, you got Cineverse put it out, and you've got a little bit lower on that. It probably will get about maybe a week or two run at max that it'll get out there. But, yeah, it was fun. Like, I laughed and had more fun with it than I was expecting. Because I was, they did try a little marketing gimmick beforehand of putting out news stories and stuff like, oh, people are walking out within the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the film because it's so over the top. Like, those are marketing gimmicks. It wasn't that bad. Like, it had a lot of violence in it, but it wasn't walk-out worthy type of gore and violence that they had.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about when we left, I was like, we talked about that specifically because we don't talk too much about the films we see after we go see them until we come here and talk about it, obviously. But one of the things we talked about was that in particular. And I was like, it felt like they were trying to paint it as like this Terrifier type of film, which Terrifier is a completely different animal. It's obviously a big popular franchise now, which is crazy in and of itself, given the content of the film and how far those go. I could see people having a bit of a queasy stomach with that. Not as much here. Like this is more silly, absurd, vulgar violence. Like it's done in a way that's not as unsettling as it is in Terrifier. It's a completely different, and I know you in particular won't watch the Terrifier films.
I just haven't got around to them yet.
I have a feeling knowing the type of films you don't like, are going to struggle with it probably, but they're much more intense than this. Like, this is not that. So the stories that you hear about people walking out, throwing up, and all that other stuff, marketing. Like, we didn't feel any uneasiness about this at once. We were just like, oh my God, they're doing that in the movie. But, like, it's not that same level. I've seen the Terrifier films. Those are significantly worse with the uneasiness and crazy stuff they do in those films. Like, this is definitely not that.
And so I said that this one is definitely a little bit more tamer than the originals, and even comparing it to Terrifier and stuff. But I still had such a good time with it. It was absurd and over the top of. It's not, like I said, I'll probably revisit at least one more time and watch it at home. But it's not something that's going to be on a heavy rotation. But if you're a fan of that kind of niche area of the genre, you might have it in heavy repeat. It might be something that you really enjoy. I mean, it makes a lot of changes from the Toxic Avenger of how the characters act, what they include. There's still a blind joke in there for, those who remember one of the main characters from the other four. You get that joke kind of brought back in, but it's not as heavily a part of it. But it was fun. Like, it was just an enjoyable, ridiculous film. Like, it's one of those where I know I can turn my brain off, and if I'm in the mood for something that vulgar and gory and ridiculous, that it's something I could turn on and watch.
Sure, and it's one of those I think could get a little bit of a cult-like status following, like, when it comes out on digital. I know the people that we went and saw the theater with, you could tell were very into that particular genre of film, and they had a lot of fun with it. Like, this was one of the louder laughing theaters we've seen in a minute, like, for one, and it wasn't very packed. I can't imagine it's going to do that well at the box office. Maybe a couple $1 million if it's lucky, but yeah, tons of fun. Go check it out. It's definitely one worth watching if you're into that particular genre of film. You'll have that itch satisfied with this one.
I'm so surprised by the casting. I mean, you got Peter Dinklage, you got Elijah Wood, you got Kevin Bacon, you got a couple stars from Ted Lasso in there as well. Like, you actually had a little bit kind of bigger semi-known cast than I kind of expected to see in there.
I was happy for a couple of the people that are in Ted Lasso to make appearances on this, and I was especially the lady who owns the bar that all the Richmond fans attend and all that she was in it. It was a lot of fun seeing those people pop up in the movie. It was fun just to have that kind of tie-in in my brain. I was just like, oh, the Ted Lasso universe is crossing over into the Toxic Avenger. But no, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time with it.
I was waiting for like some sort of Ted Lasso joke to pop up in there. Yeah. Just waiting for it, but it didn't happen. But that's going to do it for this week. Next week, we will kind of have a double TV week. We have the rest of Wednesday Season 2 dropping here shortly. We're going to review the entire season. And then we're going to check out the entire first season of The Paper, the Office spinoff that, we've talked about a bit here, that we're really curious to see how this ends up turning out. They're dropping all 10 episodes at one time, but we're going to be talking about both of those next week. But until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio room on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.